Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well this Monday, December 1, first day of the month, first day of the week, first day of the Christmas holiday official. I don't start celebrating until after the Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope that you feel the same way. One way or the other, we thank you for being around with us. Happy holiday season. We appreciate you. It's also election season as we have this special election that we've been talking much about over the last several weeks. Really, you and I began discussing this before most anybody. And now that the national media is in on it, they're grabbing all of the headlines. They're grabbing all of the candidates. They think they know what they're talking about. And I say they know precious little about what's going on in the 7th Congressional District. But, you know, for what it's worth, we appreciate them coming in and drawing attention to the state of Tennessee. And I do believe, as was mentioned by one of our previous guests, Joe Gruters, who is the chair of the Republican National Committee, that there will be a line in the sand drawn. He called it the red line, and I believe that will happen tomorrow. Be that as it may, there are other candidates in the race beyond Matt Van Epps and Afton Bain. We've had one independent candidate on in the past, John Thorpe, and I missed Terri Christie and her involvement in the race, and I apologize for that. And she called me and said, "Hey, you know what's up? Let's get some of these third-party folks on so that they can talk about their position on the political race." And we have done just that. She asked if she could have some time on the show, and we are certainly appreciative of it. And so we give it at 8 minutes past 5. It's time to welcome Terri Christie to the program. Hey, Terri.
Hi, Matt.
Should I call you Captain Terri?
You can just call me Terri. That's fine.
So talk to me about why you are Captain Terri. For those who don't know, I mean, you're known as Captain Terri around these parts. Why so?
I'm a ship's captain. I actually started out as a midlife crisis job cooking on towboats on the Mississippi River.
Uh-huh.
And I was told right away that certainly was not my typical career path.
Right.
But it was a great midlife crisis job. I was told right away how women aren't allowed to be captains, and I just kind of said, "Hold my sweet tea." And so there you have it.
How long did it take you?
2.5 years.
That's not bad.
That's probably a record.
Right. And are you still doing that, or have you hung up the captain's hat?
Oh, no, I'm still doing it. As a matter of fact, I've been doing the history tours right here on the Cumberland River in Nashville. I injured my back in the Gulf on a crew boat.
Okay.
So I haven't been out it's pretty rough. The waters are really rough in the Gulf, and if you got a back injury, it's not the best place to be.
Well, it's good to have you on. It's good to have you in. I mean, obviously, you and I have had an opportunity to speak off air, and for those who don't know about your candidacy, tell everyone, you know, kind of your background story, and why you decided to run in the 7th Congressional District.
Well, the minute I saw that they had manipulated the election timing to coincide with holiday time, it was obvious to me that it was just a coronation for Matt Van Epps to walk into his buddy's seat, Mark Green's. And I thought that was wholly inappropriate. Looking into him, I discovered that he was from a well-connected, wealthy family in Ohio and went to West Point, which is laudable. But I don't think most people understand that to get into West Point, you're usually recommended by a member of Congress to be able to attend. It's not something the average person in District 7 could ever do. And then I looked into what he majored in, and he majored in poli-sci, and it looks like just another coronation. And I believe representatives should represent the people that they're sent to represent instead of just another career politician. So
you're knocking Matt Van Epps for getting into West Point?
That's not what I said. I said was that you have to be.
That's why I asked for a clarification.
To get into West Point, people who graduate from West Point are typically very well politically connected and come from politically connected families. And our representatives should be representative of the people they serve, not some rhino from Ohio.
Okay, so once again, what does this have to do with Matt Van Epps being at West Point? I mean,
I mentioned that he majored in poli-sci, which is political science.
I mean, he also served his country, right?
Many have.
Right. I mean,
many. We have many veterans.
He put in the service. I just don't understand what him going to West Point has anything to do with you claiming he's a rhino from Ohio.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't see what it has anything to do with him being representative of the people of District 7.
So you don't think his military service has anything to do with service to the country?
No. It has his going to West Point has nothing to do with him being representative of the people of District 7.
I know people that have gotten into West Point that don't really have any political connections. They fill out an application.
Oh, I'm sure there are some that do.
Yeah, but you just said that most don't.
Most don't. Most are politically connected.
And do you know if Matt Van Epps was politically connected, or are you just making an assumption, Terri?
Well, I'm assuming his wealthy, politically connected family would give him political connections, but you'd have to ask him that.
No, I'm asking you that. You brought it up.
Well, I just told you what I thought.
So you
and I knew that I was walking into the lion's den here because
I'm just surprised that your first your opportunity to present yourself. I asked you about yourself, and you brought up the fact that you didn't think it was a big deal that Matt Van Epps went to West Point. That you brought that up. I didn't bring that up.
That's part of introducing myself because that's the difference between me and him and Afton Ben.
Tell me about your military service.
I didn't serve in the military.
Okay. So that's the end of that question.
It is.
But you're kind of, it kind of comes off like you're knocking Matt Van Epps.
Well, there was a forum in Clarksville. A political forum in Clarksville. Matt Van Epps did not show up. It was on television up there locally. He's not shown up to answer to people. He just comes I'll walk right into the lion's den like I am right here with you right now.
Terri, let's start over. I don't have anything against you. And I don't have anything against your candidacy. And you're welcome to feel otherwise, but...
Well, I heard you on the radio earlier saying that you had to vote for Matt Van Epps or you were voting for Afton Bain. Well, that is false.
If you vote for a third party, what I said was, if you're going to quote me, why don't you quote me correctly, Terri? If you want to do it this way, we can.
Go ahead and tell me.
What I said was, if you vote for anyone other than Matt Van Epps, it's half a vote for Afton Bain.
No, it's a vote for the person you're voting for. This is America. Come on. We've got to stop all this false narrative. That's what's allowed us to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start voting for the people who represent us and have them go to Congress and actually represent us instead of going to push an agenda for whatever puppeteers are puppeting them.
What is your agenda, Terri? And should you be the next congressman or congresswoman from the 7th Congressional District, what would your agenda be?
My agenda is very much to bring back personal liberties and property rights. Those are being eroded from this country. From citizens of this country do not have the liberties that they were intended to have by the founders. And we need to have freedom. Limited government is essential. And that we follow our own laws instead of break them, like what's going on with shooting these boats in the second strike in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Those things are wrong. So both parties seem to be corrupt and mastered by their handlers, while lobbyists write bills that they pass. Representatives need to represent us.
Mm-hmm. So what specific legislation or what specific agenda would you support that would get us back to those personal liberties and freedoms that you just mentioned?
Well, you said agenda. I do have a bit of an agenda. I want to see us get back to that. I want to see our agendas need to change with our constituency because we're supposed to be representative of them as long as it stays within the bounds of the Constitution and protects our liberties. Mm. So those things are constantly moving. The world is constantly changing. We've got AI coming up. So agendas they're waves. They come in waves. But the agenda should be the people's agenda, not a party. Not a party, not a president. If you're a representative, you need to represent the people. And that's literally my agenda, but personal liberty and property rights.
But you don't believe that any of the Republicans who are currently serving in the House of Representatives, for example, represent the people that
I think many
them?
of them absolutely do. However, handlers and party bosses, when your party, excuse me, I did that right into the mic.
No, it's all good. I do much worse than the mic. Don't worry about it.
When your party leaders use extortion-like tactics to tell you you're going to do this or we will primary someone against you, you've got good members of Congress up there that may be afraid for their own political career, but also afraid that somebody worse would get in there. So they go along and they toe that party line instead of doing the bidding of the people they're sent to represent. If one independent were elected to the House of Representatives, that would empower those good in both parties. There are some good people up there that would empower them to stand up and say, no, an independent can win. So if you're going to threaten me, if you're going to use these extortion-like tactics on me, I will just run as an independent. That will set us free.
Why don't you think more people are doing that if it's such an extortion racket?
Well, just like the way this election was rigged to come down during the holiday times.
I mean, who rigged that?
Well, let's see. Matt Van Epps was working for the governor's office, and that came down from the governor's office. So why don't you ask him?
What would have been a better time? Should we have waited? Should we have done it sooner?
We absolutely should have done it sooner. We had elections in August. They could have had it, local elections. They could have coincided it so that more people could get out to vote. This limited the vote. People are out shopping. As a matter of fact, I just left a store.
So Trey Hargett's in on this too?
I think the governor's office has a great deal of influence over when elections
No. The question was, is Trey Hargett in on this too?
Well, you're asking me things that I can't answer because I don't know.
Well, you brought it up. You said the governor is rigging when the election was. Who set when the election happened?
That would be the Secretary of State,
and
state government.
And that's Trey Hargett.
And the head of our state government is our governor.
So is Trey Hargett in on it too? I'm just working.
Don't know.
I'm working.
You'll have to ask him.
Don't know, but you brought it up.
I did.
So
and
you're
it's something
you're accusing the governor of what again?
I'm accusing the state government of scheduling an election to coincide with Christmas shopping time.
Specifically to benefit Matt Van Epps.
Matt Van Epps, who worked in state government.
Who won an election against 9 other Republicans with 51% of the vote. Was that rigged too?
Oh, well, when you think about it, I haven't met a single person that voted in the primary. Most of them did not know it was happening, so I would say yes.
Yeah, but those that did, 51% of them voted for Matt Van Epps, and you're like discounting that as if it meant nothing? I don't understand. When
you've got a group, when your club meets.
The Republican. By the way, did you try to run as a Republican?
No, absolutely not.
Then why do you care?
Well, because I'm what I call a recovering Republican. I'd like to see a resurrection of American independence and freedoms. We're not getting that. The Republican Party has turned into a big government party instead of a limited government party.
You're saying you would have a better opportunity to win as an independent in a general election if the general election weren't tomorrow? I'm just trying to understand your conspiracy theory about the election timing.
I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory. The calendar is not a conspiracy.
You claimed that the governor conspired with the Secretary of State. You just did this. Let's go through it. You just said that the governor conspired with the Secretary of State to get his friend Matt Van Epps elected by setting up the election cycle during the holidays. You said that. I didn't say that. You brought that up. I didn't bring that up. And I'm asking you to explain how all of that happened.
I'm not reading the tea leaves here. I'm reading the calendar. So I can just look at that and make an assumption and opinion that is obvious to most people looking at it.
You assume, based on the timing of this election, that the governor set all of this up to configure it in a way that would benefit Matt Van Epps.
Didn't Matt Van Epps, wasn't he the first to announce and the first one to resign from the governor's office to run in this seat?
I don't know if he was first.
Well, I believe that's what I read in the paper anyway, so you can look it up.
What paper is that?
The Tennessean.
Okay. So you read that in the Tennessean?
Yeah, from when he first announced.
I think John Thorpe was one of the first that announced, honestly. And I think John Thorpe announced before Mark Green even resigned that he was running against him, and then he was disqualified, and he's running as an independent. So I think John Thorpe was probably before.
He tried to run in the Republican Party, and they wouldn't let him in, saying he wasn't conservative enough, is what he told me.
Okay, so you disagree. So I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to move on to issues because I don't want to bog down in it. So, I mean, you apparently want this to be a combative interview. I do not. You have suggested that there was a conspiracy to get Matt Van Epps elected, and you disagree with that and want people to know about it. Is there anything else we need to know about that?
Well, yeah, I think people should vote their conscience and vote for representatives who actually represent them.
Okay. And so what specifically do you and Matt Van Epps disagree on?
Well, it'd be hard to tell you because he won't come out and talk to anybody. He won't come to the forums. He is hiding in his closet. He's acting just like Biden in his basement. That's what Matt Van Epps is. He shows up for specially curated to say a few things and not very well spoken.
Okay.
And so we don't need another guy that's hiding in his basement. That's what he is. And then Afton Ban is a lunatic.
Well, that's true. So just to re-ask the question one more time, what specifically do you disagree with Matt Van Epps on from a policy perspective?
Matt Van Epps won't put his policies out there. All he says is he's going up there to support President Trump instead of represent the people. A representative isn't supposed to be there to be a part of the executive branch. They're part of the legislative branch, representative of the people, not the presidency.
You don't agree with the president's agenda?
I agree with much of it, but not all of it. I do not agree with blowing boats out of the water and not trying to rescue people at sea. It violates SOLAS and our own maritime law.
So, I mean, I just while we're talking here, I looked up Matt Van Epps, his website, and he's got an issues page on the website. I mean,
well, you know, I know that you're here to shill for Matt Van Epps, but I'd rather you look up mine and go over my issues.
Well, I'm trying to get to. I asked you the question: what distinguishes you and Matt Van Epps, the Republican candidate? If we agree, see, once again, I think you feel like you're walking into a trap. I'm just.
This is absolutely a lion's den. I'm the one sitting here, but see, I'm not afraid to come into the lion's den.
Ma'am, what have I done that's unfair so far? I'm just asking. I asked you who you are. You brought up Matt Van Epps' military service. I asked you what you're about. You started railing about a conspiracy involving the Republican Party setting up the election at a time that would benefit the Republican. I asked you then what would distinguish you between the Republican candidate, because we both agree that Afton Bain is insane. And you can't name a policy position that you disagree with Matt Van Epps on. I'll ask you a third time.
I just told you again.
I ask you a third time. Name a specific policy position that you and Matt Van Epps disagree on.
I can tell you that Matt Van Epps' policy is that he is going to D.C. to back President Trump. He's not putting forth, and if you want to go read a website that who knows who wrote it, go for it. But that's not appropriate. The man will not.
It's his campaign website, man.
Yeah. And who writes his campaign? All the millions he's got coming in.
I mean, you said he doesn't take stands on the issues, and I'm just the
Epstein file should have been released, and thankfully that's been dealt with.
Yes,
he would not come out and say that he wanted those released. He would not until after the fact.
And you and I agreed that those files should be released. And thankfully, the Republicans voted in favor of release. And so we should have it within the next 30 days. You agree with that, right?
I absolutely we should have it, and it should already be out.
Very good. So let's take a quick time out, and we'll be back with Terri Christie, who is a independent candidate for the District 7 seat. We're voting tomorrow. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're back after it. A lot of thoughts on the Super Text line about our conversation with Terri Christie, who's running as an independent in the 7th Congressional District. Votes happening tomorrow. Terri, tell me, during the break, Terri and I were talking about how the interview was going. She feels like she's in the lion's den. I don't want her to feel that way. So, Terri, here, just tell me what you stand for and what your priorities will be in Washington, D.C. if you are elected.
I stand for personal liberties and property rights and the American way of life. And I feel it in my lifetime. I am watching our rights and liberties be eroded by big government. Property taxes right here in Nashville. Right here in Nashville, when you look at Arnold's having a $131,000 tax bill on that small restaurant. This is devastating to our country. It's enriching the biggest. I watch Nashville. As a history boat tour operator right here on the Cumberland River, I see everything going up and all the locals being taxed out of being able to be a part of it while big money comes in. And everyone here's seeing that, and the voters need to understand that that's their local Democratic mayor and city council. That's where those taxes are coming from. And all government is local, all government. So crap rolls downhill. It's just the facts. So when you've got big government at the top, we see right here in Nashville what happens to the people in, this is a small city as far as city size goes, but $131,000 tax bill on that store, those kinds of things, if we don't get things fixed at the top, it's just going to keep getting worse down here.
How, as a congressman in the 7th Congressional District, can you impact local property taxes in Nashville?
As I said, crap rolls downhill. And when you've got big government at the top, the governments, our local governments, get bigger as well. It's feeding an insatiable beast. And that's what's happening to Nashville. And Afton Ben keeps on spouting affordability. Well, she's right here in Nashville, and that's actually not from the federal level. But crap runs downhill, big government's leading it. But when this woman who keeps saying affordability is part of the problem here.
I'm confused how you keep saying crap runs downhill, but you mentioned property taxes. How Washington, D.C. impacted local property taxes in Nashville?
When we're voting on party lines, we're voting instead of for the person who represents us at the local, the state, and the federal level. When we vote for people that don't actually represent us and what's best and what our values are, then this is what we get. Afton Ben was put into the State House. That woman doesn't represent her constituents' best interest. And we see this happening all over. It's based on who you know and what you can do. Well, I believe we're going to have an independence resurrection that I think the midterms next year are going to explode with independent candidates for the first time in our history that are a viable alternative. And I would love to see us have an independent caucus in the House of Representatives.
Well, I'd love a third party, or if you had enough independents to create a caucus. Can you stick around for a few more minutes? I got news to do right
now.
Sure. So we got Ken Weaver in the newscast. We got Nincompoops coming up a little bit later on. But we've got Terri Christie in studio with us, talking about her as a candidate for the 7th Congressional District, or running as an independent. It's 32 after the hour on Super Talk. 99.7 WTN. All right, a few more minutes with Terri Christie. She's on the ballot tomorrow as a candidate for the 7th Congressional District, talking to us about, and you and I were talking during the break, and, I asked you about your agenda items, and we were discussing the terminology, and I thought maybe asking you about your priorities might be a better way of saying it, and you agreed that, maybe calling it priorities rather than agenda, because you don't feel like you have a specific agenda. Is that fair?
Yeah, the only agenda I have is to do the work of the people, people that I represent. That's my only agenda. So my priorities are protecting property rights and personal liberties.
Yes. Do you believe that part of the priorities of the people of the 7th Congressional District would be a continuation of the immigration policy of the Trump administration?
We have to fix our immigration system. Right now, some of the things that are going on in the Trump administration, I absolutely do not agree with. Other things I do. We needed to close the border. Absolutely. Seeing the press secretary's brother's former fiance who had joint custody of their child be arrested on her way to pick her child up, who was brought here as a child herself, reeks of political influence on her getting detained for deportation. That is, I do not like weaponizing political power.
We recently saw an ICE operation in conjunction with the Tennessee Highway Patrol in Nashville. Did you support that operation?
If it's getting criminal illegals out, absolutely. I do not think they should be hiding who they are with face masks, though, because if there are issues, there have been too many American citizens arrested, and you need to know who it is that's violating your rights.
Does it concern what happened last week in Washington, D.C. with regard to, the face masking? And I'm against masking. I sadly believe that it's a negative byproduct of the job. These people are heroes, but what happened last week? What happened last week with the National Guard? Is this do you feel like there's been an over-vilification of the National Guard, over-vilification of Immigration and Customs Enforcement as a result of Trump's policies?
I think there has been an over-vilification of them. I'm not sure how much of it is Trump's policies and how much of it is politically motivated media outlets. But the gentleman that shot and murdered a 20-year-old young woman just getting her life started, that was brought here from Afghanistan, I have not forgotten, and neither have many people, the talking heads on all of the Republican-leaning media saying, we've got to get these people over here. They worked with the CIA. We all watched these stories. This was all Republican-backed. And then Biden brought them over, and then Trump gave the guy asylum. That's what I know about this man so far. I don't know enough about him to go deep into it, but we have to do better at who we allow into our country.
Wait, so Donald, you're saying that it was Donald Trump's fault that he was here?
No, I just said he's the one who issued him asylum in March of this year.
I mean,
I'm just saying, talking on what the news has said, is that both sides are blaming the other side, and I'm saying both sides are responsible.
So back to the original question. So do you agree that if you came into the United States of America illegally, that is an act that should result in your removal from the country?
I think that we have to fix our immigration system first. We have people waiting for years and years, just like the president's press secretary's former almost sister-in-law, who has been doing things lawfully. But for some reason, whoever these administrative law judges are, they're not doing their job. Well, maybe we need new people. There is no reason in the world that these things can't be moved through faster, where you come or you go, but there just does need to be proper adjudication if you have done your paperwork properly. If you're here as a criminal gang member, I think that should be much quicker.
Now, what should happen to those who are here who have violated no other criminal rights outside of the illegal act of coming into the United States of America without the proper documentation?
You and I agree on a lot of stuff on this one. Many of these people were brought in. Both parties have driven this agenda. Both parties throughout my lifetime. We've had people coming in from particularly South American or Central American countries with no consequence because they were needed for picking crops or whatever. Mm-hmm. So both parties allowed this to just continue to happen unhinged because our bureaucrats don't do their jobs. These people that we hire to be judges or to be whatever and departments of government aren't doing their jobs. It's a bunch of lazy people getting government paychecks. Not everybody, but a lot of them. And this slows down the wheels of government to where it's non-functioning. And what we need to do is get our government functioning. But those people who came here as children that had no say, that have been here since they're 3 years old, they don't know another country. This is what they know. They're as much a fabric of the communities they grew up in that are now young adults. This is problematic for those people who are probably as patriotic as you or I, to not be able to get vetted through and to go on decades without being able to have it heard to determine if they can even get legal status. I think that it's cruel and unusual, but I do agree with you. I've heard you say that think people who came here, because we won't be able to get rid of all of them. It's just not going to happen. But community service should be something that is required from people that were brought or that came here illegally, that if they're going to be allowed to stay. I don't really want to make it all about illegal immigrants because we've got citizens here that we need to be representing.
I'm moving on to the economic front. Would you have voted for the big, beautiful bill?
Not a chance in hell.
Why not?
Because there's too much pork in it, too many pages, and I haven't read it myself, so I don't want to narrow it down to specifics. But many people that have voted for it have come out, I can't think of any names right now, forgive me, have come out saying, oh, if I'd have realized that was in there or this was in there. I think we need to get back to where we're appropriating our bills based on specific agendas instead of packaging everything into a bunch of pork-infested hogwash.
So, Terri, I mean, you might feel like this is a little bit of the lion's den, but so you said you wouldn't vote for a bill that you've never read and that a lot of people who voted in favor of it are now coming out saying they're against it, but you can't think of any of those names. Is that
I
what you
can't. I've
but
just,
am I mischaracterizing what you
well,
just
you
said?
do have me on the spot, so I can't
No,
think
that's
of what I
okay.
read
I'm just
earlier from
wanting to
some
make
of
sure-
them.
I just want to make sure I'm not mischaracterizing what you just said.
But the big beautiful bill, when you've got
I'm
government
on
that's
record
too
as being
much.
against it. I thought it was too porky too. So I mean, but that doesn't mean that you should be against it necessarily. I just don't want to misrepresent my position on it. It did permanently create tax breaks for the American people, which is a good thing, I think.
Tax breaks are good, but we can't sell our soul to spite our face. And that's what these kinds of bills do. It's just like Pelosi. Vote for it to find out what's in it. It's the same thing as ACA.
But you just said you were against it, and you haven't read it.
Well, I'm against anything I haven't read. I can't be for something that I don't inform myself of.
Well, but you're also a candidate for Congress. Didn't you think maybe I would ask you about this?
There's that lion's den coming out.
Didn't you think I might ask you about the big beautiful bill?
Well, since it's already been done, I thought we'd be talking about more pressing current issues. But
Well,
go ahead.
But you've never served in public office, correct?
No, sir.
So, in order to establish kind of a baseline, it's typical during these types of interviews that I would ask you, "Hey, this just happened. Where would you be on this?" Or you're rolling your eyes. Why are you rolling your eyes? I mean, "Hey, this just happened. Where would you have been on this?" "Hey, this vote is coming up. Where would you be on this?" You didn't expect me to do that?
No, I expected you to do that, to speak about current things. There's nothing I can do about that already passing, though.
Okay, but so you didn't bother to read a synopsis of it?
Well, I'm kind of running for office, and do you remember how many pages that was?
Okay. I mean, if you don't feel like that, if you don't believe that that is a part of running for the 7th Congressional District, making yourself informed about a huge bill that just passed, and how many Republicans voted for it in the state of Tennessee in the congressional delegation?
You know, I don't recall. I know Mark Green did.
All of them.
I assumed they would. I would, but
I think all of them voted for it, if I'm not mistaken.
But that's why we need to get independent candidates that will actually read the bills before they will vote on them.
Sharon wants me to stop being a jerk to you.
Thank you, Sharon.
I mean, no, and I disagree with you, Sharon. I think if Matt Van Epp said that he hadn't read the bill, I'm not trying to be a jerk. Any final thoughts about tomorrow, the candidacy, the message, final thoughts to the voters listening?
Folks, this is our opportunity, our first opportunity to be able to put someone who actually represents the people in the House of Representatives for our district. So why don't we go out there and vote for Terri Christie? Matt Van Epps is better known as Tennessee Fauci, and Afton Bain thinks we should be mutilating children's sexual organs. So why don't you vote for somebody who's actually one of you? That's me. I'm Terri Christie.
There's Terri Christie. It's 51 after the hour. Super Talk 99. Thank you, Ken Weaver. All right, so any thoughts on so here's the deal. 56 minutes after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I know that we have, I'm gonna send you a number and ask our guest if he can do 6:30. If not, maybe tomorrow. I had Johnny Garrett coming on to talk about Matt Van Epps. I think we've kind of talked at the depth. We're going to do Nincompoops at 6:05. So never you fear, or just after 6:05. So never y'all fear about that. I know that I bumped Nincompoops for our previous guest, Terri Christie, who, and just in the interest of full disclosure, and Terry's probably listening right now, and it's true, Terri asked for equal time, and I gave it to her. Obviously, from an obligation standpoint, she's on the general election ballot, and I'm obligated to do that, but I'm also willing to do that if asked. I do not believe that we bulldogged her in any way. She feels like that she was in the midst of the lion's den. I feel like we asked her some legitimate questions, and you are ultimately the decider as to whether or not that's the case. 615-737-9986. 3225 writes in and says, I'm voting tomorrow. I'm glad you had her on. Because I'm not voting for that crazy, unprepared, deflecting person. She wants to say what she wants, but cries lion's den when you challenge her. I would like to nominate T-Dot for nincompoop in the news today. This is my fifth winter here. They're always putting down brine on the road before the first freeze. It rains. It washes the brine off the road before the road freezes. It makes no sense to me. It's a waste of money. That's a good one. Armchair PD said, just for Matt's tone alone, I want her to win now. What tone was that? I mean, I feel like, look, y'all give me crap when I go after people. I felt like I was nice. I get the hell beat out of me for being mean to people. And so I have somebody on. She's a third-party candidate. She didn't have a chance in hell of winning anything. And I'm nice to her for 40 minutes, and I get crapped on by the audience. What the hell's up with that? She gets mad at me because she brought up Matt Van Epps. Oh, well, he's snotty. He went to West Point. Oh, he served his country, whatever. I mean, if that's what you think's going to win you an election, okay. I mean, that's fine. I don't think that's the best strategy. That's all I'm saying. And I gave her an opportunity. I gave her an open opportunity to tell me what her priorities were, and she talked about property taxes in the city of Nashville, which I do not know why or what she believes the Congress of the United States of America can do about local property taxes. But she simultaneously talked about she's running for Congress because of the property taxes, but home rule. So, okay, so if the priority is home rule, then wouldn't you look toward the city council and the mayor's office and even the state government in order to fix that problem? I don't know. Anyway, Terri Christie. She captains boats. Call her Captain Terri. I don't endorse candidates, but if I were voting in the 7th Congressional District, I would not vote for Miss Terri. I would not. Or Afton Bay. Or John Thorpe. Or anybody else. That's not named Matt Van Epps. It is 6 o'clock on Super Talk.